Work tomorrow morning on Sports Radio 95.3 FM and 1350 AM. The Ticket.
Is this the year? We'll open up the hotline for this thing, too. 208-424-9300. I'm saying third time is a charm. Put Kellen Moore in his rightful place in college football eternity. The College Football Hall of Fame. Prater, his third straight year he's on the ballot. He's 0 for 2. You think it's going to be 0 for 3?
No, that's not true. I mean, you asked me what my opinion was. I have no idea what the voters are going to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in on this ballot. I need to go back and do a little bit more research on the voting and how many get in. Is it somewhere between 8 and 16 every year or what the deal is? I also spent some time today looking for failed attempts. I wanted to kind of look at the context of how hard it is. I mean, every single year that they come out with this ballot, the president of the Football Foundation, which essentially runs the College Football Hall of Fame, puts out his stats. 0.02% of all college football players make the College Football Hall of Fame. That's 0.02, not 0.2, but 0.02. So we're talking a very, very, very limited number, as Hall of Fames should be. And I know we all agree that Kellen Moore should be in the Hall of Fame. He will be in the Hall of Fame. Will it happen right off the bat? I think Tebow and Bush were first-time nominees last year, and they both got in on their first tries, if I remember right. That was some of the competition that he had last year. You have to put Reggie Bush in. You have to put Tim Tebow in. Mm-hmm. You have, those guys are no-brainers. Reggie was, I think, eligible before, but
the controversy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And USC, I think you have to be nominated by your school, and USC didn't nominate him, and Tim Tebow, speaks for himself. But I think there's a chance that he will get in on this ballot. I wouldn't be surprised. We all want it to happen. We all hope it will happen. Are you asking me if I'm predicting that he'll get in on this third ballot? I don't think he will. And there's some other names out there that probably could and should get in before Kellen Moore, but I know that's not a very popular thing to say around here.
No, hell no. By the way, the class of 2022 consisted of 22. There was 18 players and 4 coaches got in last year. So under those circumstances, I don't know why we're keeping Kellen Moore off the ballot for a third.
Yeah, but how many of those 18 players? I mean, because they divided into big time division, small division, little tiny division. So how many of those were Division I FBS players?
I don't know, man. 18 players, man. That's room.
Yeah, half of them were like from Union, Union,
Fort
Division
Union,
3.
whatever. I would hope it's not that even. I would hope maybe there's one from a D3 every year, and mostly are the players who build this game. By the way, you say 0.02. I believe if you do the math on that, I think that is 2 players out of every 1,000 make the College Football Hall of Fame. That is insane.
Yeah.
It is harder to make the College Hall of Fame than it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned you felt that Michael Vick, and he's the big headliner along with Randy Moss, and there's another big timer too, Larry Fitzgerald, I believe. I think Fitzgerald, I don't know. Again, all these guys need to get in. They're all College Football Hall of Famers, if you ask me. It's just kind of when they decide when somebody gets in or not. And I asked our listeners, why hasn't Kellen gotten in yet? Just tell us why. And they all say the same thing. Because he played in the WAC. Because he played 1 year in the Mountain West.
Well, strength of schedule.
Inferior competition.
Strength of schedule.
And 50-3 is great, but you give Michael Vick 53 games against Kellen Moore's exact schedule. How many games does he win? Whatnot there. I get those hypothetical arguments, but,
sure.
But I mean, come on. I mean, and I don't need to go down and read the list of stats, even though Kellen Moore's in the top 10 of almost every significant college football quarterbacking stat of all time. And the biggest 2, in my opinion, wins. He's number 1. In touchdown passes, he's number 2. That's in the history of FBS Division I college football. Boise State at the time, that was the obviously the golden era. Chris Peterson, I don't know how long coaches have to wait. I would assume Coach Pete someday gets in, and there's going to be the Boise State wing, the triplets. There's going to be Randy Troutman, there's going to be Kellen Moore, and there's going to be Chris Peterson, in my opinion, that all go in mainly as Boise State Broncos. I know Pete won a couple of Pac-12 titles and went to the CFP with UW just to kind of stamp, hey, I can win at any level on a very, very high level, Prater. But I hope it's this year. And
as do I.
You know,
I mean,
put Kellen in for crying out loud now. How many years are we going to make him wait? And I think he should be in over Michael Vick. Prater, I do.
Yeah, you're going to lose me on that one. Michael Vick absolutely needs to go in. Michael Vick changed the way you play football in college football. He changed the position. Well, and he was a rare deal. I don't care about his stats or that he only threw 21 touchdowns or whatever crap you're going to throw at me. Michael Vick revolutionized. He changed the position he has to be in. I just found just this last commercial break, College Football News is the website I go to. I think it's pretty credible. I think they're a little bit off here, but they ranked all 84 players on this year's ballot. Kellen Moore comes in at number 29, by the way, on this one. I think that's a little bit too low. The number one consensus obvious person that they said is James Laurinaitis out of Ohio State, the three-time first-team consensus All-American who won 2 national championships and just dominated in terms of what he did. They say Vick should be number 2. Peter Warwick should be number 3. Larry Fitzgerald. And that's, some of mine had in there. I had Matt Cavanaugh because he won a national championship. Ken Dorsey won a national championship. I don't care if you're surrounded by talent. If you're an FBS quarterback and you win a national championship, I don't care what the circumstances are. And if that happens at any school, I need to see you win. I love Larry Fitzgerald. Josh Heupel won a national championship. Michael Vick changed the way the game was played. Julius Peppers, Randy Moss. These are some of the other players that are on this year's ballot. And those are the players that I would probably vote for. I would probably if I had 12, 13, 14, 15 lines, I would put Kellen Moore on that list, but I would start with the 8 or 9 that I just gave you first.
I think another thing that hurts Kellen is Tim Tebow kind of hurt him. Sam Bradford, I think, was in that era too. Tim Tebow only made one of the criteria of All-Americans. You have to make, all these credible All-America teams, right? I believe Kellen Moore was a one-time All-American because there's guys, it was a great era of quarterbacking he was in from 08 to 11. Like I said, those names I mentioned. I'll give you the Michael Vick because he told coaches, he told football that the greatest athlete, the most athletic player on the field can play quarterback. And teams after the Vick era at Virginia Tech, you saw them. Urban Meyer was doing this. You saw them all of a sudden incorporate the quarterback into a weapon on foot like we had never seen before. And for the spectacular that was Michael Vick, sure, he's in, just like Kellen Moore needs to be in. Maybe not for the spectacular, but just for the consistent efficiency, what Kellen Moore was able to do when he was in. Randy Moss was the most spectacular wide receiver I've ever seen play college football. And I know the numbers don't always compute. Part of his season, he was playing at the FCS level before Marshall went up to D1. But anybody, if you're young and you haven't seen Randy Moss in college at Marshall, it's the greatest highlight tape in college for a receiver I've ever seen, Prater. Randy Moss has to be on that list too. And I didn't know that about Laurinaitis. Was a hell of a linebacker. But if you are like a first-team All-American consensus on all the All-America teams that they count.
That's
the
5 of them. That's
5 of them. And you're on all 5 of them for 3 straight years. I mean, that's the criteria there. That's a slam dunk, no-brainer. I would like to see Kellen Moore. How long is he going to have to wait here? Other guys are coming. They're waiting for their turn too. And next year, we're going to be talking about the next class like we are with Randy Moss and Fitz and Vick, right? And it doesn't go away.
But sometimes waiting is okay. You don't have to rush these things. And I don't think, I know you're a fan. You're a fanboy. You get excited. You want him to do it right now. First of all, I don't think he cares too much. Not that should be the criteria.
Yeah.
Is this commercial that I hear all the time on this station or some other station where they talk about Neil Armstrong had to sit for 12 hours before he stepped on the moon? Leo DiCaprio had to wait 16 years before he won his first Academy Award.
Okay.
It's talking about waiting. And I think it's a cell phone commercial. You can wait till you get home in order to send that text message. And it's a long list of people waiting. And it's very, very impressive. It's okay to wait. It makes it sweeter at the end. And, I'm trying to justify it right now. But just because Kellen Moore doesn't get in right now doesn't mean if it happens 2 or 3 years from now, it's not going to be just as sweet, just as special. So Kellen Moore will get into the College Football Hall of Fame. 15-3 is important. It's very important.
His numbers. You got to come over on more on the numbers.
The numbers, though, are going to be, when you say the numbers, the strength of schedule guy will beat you up on that. That's why Kellen Moore is not getting in on his first, second, or maybe even third time. It's because of strength of schedule. And if you go with the numbers game, they're going to say, yeah, but you beat up New Mexico 55 times.
Yeah, it's like, so no one who played that level of football is worthy.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right.
I mean, come on. Like,
I'm not saying it's right. And I don't, when I do I don't vote on Hall of Fame stuff, but I'm not going to dive too deep into stats, man. Hall of Fames are more than just stats.
Yes, they are.
It's beyond the stats, if you ask me. It's beyond the stats, which is why I love Michael Vick so much.
That's where I want to go to. I'm thinking real quick. I mean, what's more important for the Hall of Fame? The Kellen Moore, the efficiency and the stats in the winning and playing for 4 full years? Or is it the innovation? Or is it, the Michael Vick, who played essentially a year and a half of college football? That's it. He came, he went, he was a comet. And all of a sudden after him, you've seen more and more guys saying, we want the next Michael Vick. That's the future. That's the evolution. Like, if you look at the evolution chart of college football and its quarterbacks and say it starts with, like, I don't know, Sammy Baugh in the 30s, Michael Vick has a spot probably on that evolution chart. Is that more important than what Kellen did to college football for 4 years? That I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a list. It's not. I don't know if it's more important. It depends on the voter. That's why you have 10,000, 15,000 voters. You get all kinds of different perspectives, and that's the beauty of this deal. So it's just you got a resume. You look at it and you try to compare it. I think national championships and Heisman trophies are very, very important because it means you're playing and succeeding at the very high level. But I also think winning is the ultimate, and that's where Kellen Moore is going to get into the Hall of Fame, not because of his stats, not because of his innovation, not because he changed the game. He's going to get into the College Football Hall of Fame either this year or over the next 2 or 3 years for one reason and one reason only: 50-3.
What do you guys think? Come on, Cloverdale Plumbing text line. Give us some feedback on this sucker. 208-424-9300. What's going through your head right now? We want you to text the show, and we'll get back to it at feedback finale. JP, let's hop on some soapboxes. Billionaires pay for your own stinking stadiums. Prater, Ballgame, Idaho Sports Talk, KTIK, the ticket.
This is Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the